Alright, this is take two. So I had a subscriber ask how to plant his drosera seeds. So occasionally I do sell drosera seeds on eBay under the user Carniculture. Right here I have some tomentosa drosera seeds, which is a pretty rare variety. Here's the mother plant it came off of. You can see that's the flower stalk. And I just got some seeds here. So to plant it, you are going to need a media, of course. I use peat and perlite mostly. So right here you can see sphagnum peat moss is what you want. Make sure you do not use the Miracle-Gro brand for either the peat or the perlite. Very important, because your plant will not like you very much if you do that. Just because they add nutrients into those mixtures. So yeah, I used a 1-to-1 ratio. So I used 2 scoops of perlite and 2 scoops of peat, and that's my typical measurement or method. You can see here it is. Here's my mix. We're gonna put some water on here and let that soak. Yeah. Let me add the water to it. And we're gonna mix that up real good. You really don't want to breathe this perlite dust in. It's really bad for your lungs. So if you can help from doing that, do not. So this is not the right way to do it, but definitely moisten it first. It's important you use distilled water, because these plants are sensitive to minerals. That includes seeds too. So we're gonna get this nice and mixed up. You can see it's starting to mix there. The peat doesn't like to absorb the moisture, unfortunately, but eventually it will. Okay. We're looking pretty good. This actually might have a little too much perlite in it. But that's not a problem for me. You might want a little less perlite than this. The perlite's just for good aeration, and it's also neutral for the seeds. Alright, so I got our pot here. And what you're going to do is take this, squeeze out the water, fill up the pot. Easy peasy. At this point, I recommend watering this just a little bit, maybe misting the top of it. You're not going to want to top water after you put the seeds on here, because these seeds are extremely tiny, and if you do top water, they will sink into the media and your seeds will not germinate. So, next thing to do, clean your hand off. I'm just going to wipe it on the ground over here. So I am in my greenhouse right now. In case you all were curious. Alright, so I'm just getting these seeds ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them on a piece of paper. So be very careful when you open your seed packets, because they are extremely small. One sneeze and you have just lost all your seeds. So I like to put them on a piece of paper like this. That's folded in half. And typically, it's hard to do with 2 hands, but I kind of do little taps. Oh, you can see some of the seeds coming down. And I just spread them all around. And let's see how I did. Okay, there's a little bit left, but that should be pretty good. And you could start them outside if it's warm out. Start them under lights. Back to what I was saying. You could start them in a greenhouse if you have a greenhouse, under lights indoors, in a windowsill, whatever works best for you. I recommend windowsills are a little tough sometimes. If you do use a window, use a south-facing window, just because that gets the most light throughout the day. especially in the winter. A big tip that I like to do if you're growing indoors is humidity makes a huge difference when germinating seeds. A way you can increase your humidity is to put a bag over it. So you can use a Ziploc bag, put it over top of your little setup. You could do that. Sometimes I'll use saran wrap. I'll put a saran wrap over this, or you can just use the propagation trays. So the 10 by 20 flats, kind of like what I have over there. And then there's something called a humidity dome, which you can put on top over it, and it'll kind of keep the moisture in there. So your seeds should germinate. It could take up to a month, sometimes up to a year. It just all depends. Sometimes I'll plant something and think I had duds, and then months down the line they pop up. So this is what you should expect to see once they start germinating. And it's really critical to feed them at this point. So when you have little seedlings at this stage, what I like to do is I like to grind up fish food, and I'll take a toothpick and just little specks of fish food, and I'll stick them at the little globs on the end of the tentacles, and that really gives them a nice boost. If I don't feed these ever, they will not grow. So I'll go through and I'll feed a little bit here, a little bit there, a little here, and it's kind of spread them out, because the ones you feed are the ones that are going to grow. And that's pretty much it to germinating seeds. If you do have any issues and you did purchase seeds from me, you can always message me, and I'll actually send you replacement seeds. No problem. Right now, all I think I have up is Capensis and Tokiensis, which is a hybrid of Rotundifolia and Spatulata. So that's all I have for you today. Happy growing.